Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today I'm talking about rejection. Have you experienced rejection? And if you have, you may not be aware actually that some of the results that you're creating in your life right now are because of the rejection you experienced in your past. So I'm going to give you examples of what it feels like to have the fear of rejection. I have been coaching several women who come to me about their work. And then a few stations down the road, we do discover that they do have a fear of rejection. And, when they first discover it, they're like, how is that possible? So a lot of us don't even know we have it. It just shows up, though, in all our results, but we don't even know that it's showing up. So, what is rejection? Rejection is the act of pushing something or someone away. That I don't want you, don't even bother me, right? Um, it impacts our lives in so many ways. And as I said before, we don't even know when it's impacting us. If you've been in a situation where you want something so badly and you know you can go for it, but you're not going for it, you're not taking action towards getting what you want, that could be a reason. That could be that you're afraid of rejection. But let me give you some examples, right? How you would know that you do have the fear of rejection. One, it affects your ability to be able to go out there and get what you want. Be it, it might be a job, might be applying for a job, might be applying for a promotion, it might be starting your own business, it might be getting into relationships. It actually holds us back because the brain has decided that I am safer if I don't do this. All right. Second, you're afraid of meeting new people or even spending time with those that you know or spending time with friends outside of work because you have all this mental talk that's going on in your mind about how you're going to appear or how they're going to see you. You refuse to engage in relationships because you're afraid. You make up stories about why people will not, why this person will not want you, or what they think about you. You assume these things about you. And sometimes it's relationships at work where we stop ourselves from doing certain things because we are afraid of what our superior is going to think about us, right? You refuse to speak your mind because you're afraid of what others are going to think about you. And every time you speak, you have this mental chatter going on. What are they thinking? What are they thinking? And then you make up these stories about what they're thinking, what they're really thinking about you, right? Have you ever been in a situation where you sit there and you're talking about yourself, you're giving someone a scenario, and the look on their face is probably saying that they're not interested, and then you make up this story in your head, or maybe I'm sounding stupid, maybe I'm sounding childish, right? That's what happens when you have a fear of rejection, when you have that sense of fear of rejection. That's what happens. You let people cross your boundaries, because you want them to like you. So many of us do that. The people pleasing effect, right? You're at work, you take on that extra work because you want your boss to like you. But then you're telling yourself the story that, oh no, this is going to be good for my CV, it's good for my experience. But deep down inside, you're really just trying to impress your boss, right? Or you are always looking for signs of being rejected. So every opportunity that comes your way, for example, you want to change roles and you want to apply, and then you think, no, I don't qualify. I don't think I am good enough for that job. You have this mental chatter going on. You may not be saying it out loud, but it's actually sitting in your head. You're afraid of stating your own needs. We do this a lot in relationships. In marriages, I've seen married women who don't know how to speak for their needs in a relationship because they're afraid of the response they're going to get back. And the response that we are usually afraid of is a no. Being afraid of a no means I'm afraid of a rejection. And then at work, we are afraid again to set boundaries, to say, no, I'm afraid I can't take that on right now because I'm so busy. If I do take it on, I won't be able to hand it in until a certain point, because we don't want, again, for someone to say something negative, um, it, as we are trying to respect our own boundaries. Whenever your friends and family have something going on, this is another example. Whenever your friends and family have something going on, you don't want to be left out. You're the one person that always says, oh my God, why didn't you call me? Why didn't you invite me? Why didn't you tell me? You want to be a part of everything that they're doing. That's fear of rejection. You desperately want your supervisor, your partner, your spouse, your parent to acknowledge the good that you do. How many of us want that, right? And we innocently want it because we think if I do good for you, then you need to appreciate it, right? So we depend on these people for their approval, but we don't know how to approve ourselves. We don't know how to approve of ourselves before we get the approval from the other person. That, my friend, might be a sign that you have fear of rejection. You believe no one understands you and what you are going through. In an argument, you're trying to state your point, and the other person dismisses your point, and then you think they don't understand me. They don't understand what I'm going through. They don't understand my experience. That, my friend, is a fear of rejection. Might be a sign that you feel you're afraid of rejection, because why else do you want them to understand you so badly, right? Isn't it good enough that you believe in yourself or you understand yourself? Why isn't it good enough for you to understand yourself, to believe in yourself? And then you compare your life to others, and then you think that they're better than you are. Hmm? I know I've done that. When you're growing up, comparison is like, it's second nature. You're always looking at the other person and what they have, and you're thinking, wow, I want what they have. I want what they have. Little do we know that in comparing, we are saying to ourselves that what I have is not good enough, or I am not good enough. Okay. Also, you believe you could be better at maybe being a leader. Maybe you're looking at your supervisor right now, your boss, your superior, and you're thinking, I could do a better job than they're doing. You're looking at your parents and how they raised you, and you're thinking, I could be a better parent than they were. And in a relationship, you're thinking, like, I am a better spouse, right? These examples that you're seeing, the reason you think you're better than these people is because you're trying to elevate yourself. It's a form of approval, but in a roundabout way, right? You don't approve of yourself by comparing yourself to others. You approve of yourself by comparing yourself to yourself. Last example, when you're in a gathering, you're with some friends or friends, you're sitting there quiet, you don't want to say anything, or rather, whatever you say, you're thinking, I am an outsider. When you're in a gathering and you're feeling that way, you're feeling as though you're an outsider, you have put yourself in that position. Nobody else has put you in that position. So if you do have those tendencies, those examples that I've given, that's a fear of rejection. Now, how do we get this way? We get this way because somewhere in our past, there's a conditioning. Something happened, events happened to us, and we were conditioned to believe that we are not good enough. An example, maybe you were raised by one parent, the other parent is not in your life. And as a child, you're asking yourself, why doesn't my father want me? Or why doesn't my mother want me? Right? So you feel abandoned by the parent that's absent. You know they are alive and well, and maybe they're even raising other children, but you feel abandoned. And from that fear of abandon, or rather from that feeling of abandonment, you then decide as a child to protect yourself. So the brain just decides that, hey, this is how we are going to protect ourselves from rejection. Sometimes both parents are present, but one parent is very critical of you. Maybe you do some things well, and they really, really praise you on what you do well, but then they beat you down on what you don't do well. You bring back a grade A report, a grade B rather, you've gotten a B, and they look at it and they think, You could have gotten an A. You did so well, but you could have gotten an A. Do you see how confusing that is for a child? And you're probably elated. You're showing them this report card that, yes, I have a B. And then they're like, yeah, you could have done better. Okay, yes, you did well, but you could have done better. I mean, come on, right? Had a very bad experience in a relationship, you ended up with in a breakup or a divorce, and the experience that was left with you um, makes you feel as though you were rejected by your partner. So you believe that you can't handle relationships. You're not good. When you think I can't handle relationships, what you're really telling yourself is I am not worthy of a relationship. I'm not good enough. You may not be using those words, but that's what's going on in your subconscious or in your unconscious mind. Trust me, that's what's going on back there. So, how do we overcome rejection? One of the ways we overcome rejection is by working on our self confidence. What is self confidence? Self confidence is being secure in yourself and your abilities. It is knowing that I can show up and I will show up when I say I will to do ABC. I trust I'll follow through. And no matter what result I get, I at least will have experienced the process. That's self confidence. And we only build our self confidence by going out there and facing our fears, right? So many of us lack self confidence. Self confidence can go up and down, by the way. It's not something that sometimes it's not um, at the same level because we are going through new experiences, new challenges. And especially when you start working on yourself, you're up leveling at at different stages in your life. I keep telling you in my talks that your negative thoughts will create your negative emotions. Your negative emotions will create your negative actions. Your negative actions will create your negative results. Now, when we are in a place, when we are feeling fear of rejection, we are always going to be thinking negative about ourselves. The opinion that we have of ourselves is negative. And any circumstance that comes our way, for example, I gave you the example that you're sitting among friends and you feel like you're the outsider, or friends, or friends and their friends, and you feel like you're the outsider. That's negative self talk. You've put yourself in that position of being the outsider because that's what you think of yourself. It's not what they've said, it's not what they've told you. So the negativity, the negative thinking creates negative emotions. Negative emotions create negative actions. Negative actions create negative results. You want to be able to work on that, be able to regulate your thinking and your emotions in order for you to get the results that you want. Grow your resilience muscle. Growing the resilience muscle means that no matter what, I am going to do this. I might experience some negative emotions, but if I do experience those negative emotions, I can handle. I am okay. I am going to let myself go through the process anyways, and I'm going to allow it. So growing resilience muscle means that you're going to trust that whatever negative emotion comes through an experience, that you can handle it. Handling it doesn't mean avoiding. It doesn't mean rejecting the emotion. It doesn't mean suppressing the emotion. No, it's being aware that I am okay right now to feel the fear, and at the end of that fear, once I am done with this, I am going to have overcome the experience with fear, and I'm going to be somebody better. I can do it again. So that's what the resilience muscle looks like. Being able to experience any negative emotion and with awareness, with no judgment. All right. Not an easy thing to do. One of the things I want to leave you with is people who have a fear of rejection tend to settle. They settle in everything in life. They actually do not live the life that they want. They settle in their jobs, they settle in their relationships, even in their businesses. Somebody could be self employed, but they can earn maybe three times what they're doing right now. but they're very comfortable with what they are getting because it pays the bills. They're surviving. So why challenge myself to get 3 times? Why scale to get 3 times more? So when you have the fear of rejection, you settle for less. And part of your brain is thinking, I can do better. I want more. But the other part of your brain is saying, no, 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 we can't go down that road. Settling, my friends. Why settle? Settling means you are allowing less in your life than you want. So, with that said, if you want to live a better life, if you're stuck, if you have things going on that you want to get rid of, and you sometimes you don't even know what's holding you back, feel free, DM me, send me a message to see how I can help you be able to create the life that you desire. All right. Peace out. Discomfort is the price of growth. So keep that in mind. Peace out. I will be talking to you soon. Bye bye.